Hey guys, I'm going to be in Psalm 121, verses 1 and 2 today. I'll lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. You know, when something tragic happens in our life, there are a lot of things we try to run to. You might run to drink. You might run to say, hey, listen, I'm going to drown my sorrow in alcohol, and I'm going to get myself pickled up, and I'm going to forget about it. And it ends up destroying you from the inside out. Alcohol does that. It's just a demon itself. I don't care what anybody says. It is a mess, all right? But here's the thing. I lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help doesn't come from drink. You may choose drink, or you may choose drugs. Someone out there who's not a believer, or even a believer at times, can choose to use things that somehow this tragedy, I've got to use this other thing. And I recognize that there are people who need medicines. I get that. But for the most part, I'm talking about recreational drugs. We choose drink when we have a tragedy happen in our lives, or we choose drugs if we have a tragedy happen in our lives. But what does the psalmist say right here? It says, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. All right. You may choose drink. You may choose drugs. You may choose to just, be wallowed up in despair. You may decide that despair is you're out. And so, man, I'm just I can't break free from this. I'm gonna wallow in this. I'm gonna wallow in this for a while. And there's nothing wrong with sorrow. There's nothing wrong with being anxious in the midst of a tragedy that happened or something like that. As long as that does not stay your MO, as long as that doesn't stay what you're in at all times, as long as that doesn't become you. I'm going to go to drink, or I'm going to go to drugs, or I'm going to go to despair. I'm going to stay in those things. I'm going to run to that. Solomon says that ain't going to help you. He says, I'll lift up mine eyes into the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth, the one who made heaven and earth. I may run to a lot of different things to somewhat comfort me. I may run to an addiction that I have. I may run to gambling. I may run to any sort of thing. If I'm not running to God, if I'm a believer in Jesus Christ and I'm not running to God, there's absolutely nothing that will satisfy. And those who do not know God, there's nothing that will satisfy like God will. Okay? And so it is a desperate situation that whatever you may be going through, and not even tragedy, a lot of us run to these things, these other things other than God. We run to them regardless of the situation. We can get the least bit upset and we run to these things. It doesn't have to be a tragedy. Folks, God's people look into the hills. And then when someone asks, where does your help come from? How is it you're making it through? How is it that you can be in the midst of what you're going through and still working and still having joy, still joy unspeakable? You can quote this verse. Say, where does my help come from? Hey, I look into the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. Love you guys.